Welcome to The Table, the podcast where we share real stories, struggles, and victories as we walk together in faith. Jenna and I are back together to talk about the last several weeks and what we've learned, or are still learning, about these spiritual practices. In case you've missed it, we've had several guests come on to talk about prayer, Bible study, worship, rest, thankfulness, giving, service, community, and they've all shared their own experiences with growing closer to the Lord. If you haven't had a chance, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to the wisdom they share, even before you listen to us talk about what our favorite moments were. Side note, this episode is one to listen to in your car while you're doing the dishes. Why? Well, for some reason that I can't explain, there's no video. So just imagine you can see us, and we'll try to get things back squared away next week. All right, enough talking. Let's jump into this week's episode.
Hey, Jenna,
Hi.
we're back. This feels kind of weird to sit here and it's just you and me. It's been a minute since we've done this. Does it feel weird to you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the chaos of the season, the time of year has kind of settled down a little bit, and the excitement of what new things can happen. I think that's where I'm living today. But then the chaos and the overwhelm is like, you can't see my hands. It's like slowly starting to creep back in. So it's a fun time for sure. How
hmm
are things going in the Johnson household?
They're going well and just very busy. Very busy.
Yeah. We need some kind of motto for the Johnson family. It's like, uh, I don't know. I'm not creative enough to come up with something funny on the spot, but I feel like it's you guys are like 100 miles an hour all the
If
time.
if we were not busy, I don't think we'd know what to do with ourselves.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah. So okay, we just finished this really, really, really encouraging series. I think that's my own opinion. So people might disagree, but we talked about these 8 different spiritual practices, and it's the beginning of a new year and the ending of a series. And so I just wanted to come together and kind of talk about what were some of our highlights. I got a couple questions, as always, to pitch out to you. And just to maybe offer some of our own personal perspective to the things that we've been talking about for our listeners. So that's where we're going to start. Um, in general, is there something that stuck out to you or like you heard or saw in all of these practices that we talked about?
The thing that all of them, like the overarching theme to me was to show up in every single one of them. And each one is different in that aspect of what showing up means. But like
Hmm.
if you're in the community and serving others, obviously you're with other people and you're having
Yeah.
to go to a place or to a person to show up. But I think in even things like rest and being in the word and prayer, it's an intentional showing up. And I really appreciated hearing that throughout every single one of them, is that it doesn't take something huge or elaborate. It just takes showing up and giving an effort. And that was really encouraging to me because I think when you hear some of these practices or disciplines, it's hard. I'm not a disciplined person in all aspects of my life. And so it was just a very encouraging thing to hear that all it takes is showing up and making the effort.
I love that. And for our listeners, I have no idea what's in your notes, and you have no idea what's in my notes, but we're probably about to have the same notes. That was on my list too, and I think your point was it doesn't just show up. He'll every bit counts, and he'll use anything that you give him. And I love that encouragement because it was probably halfway through for sure halfway through for our listeners, but halfway through recording these episodes that maybe towards the end, that I came to you and our guests and I was like, I am overwhelmed with all of the great ideas that I should be starting, or not even should be, but like could be and want to be doing all these things. They sound so great. And I can't, like, I'm going to fail every time because I can't do all of these things. And so, like, just showing up and whatever I do, knowing that it all counts. And as long as my heart is in the right place, my focus is on the right thing, like He knows my heart. So just whatever I do, every little bit counts. Man, that was one of my favorite themes through all these episodes, too.
Yeah, it was good to hear. And I think another thing that really stood out to me is that we picked, or the Lord brought to each of these women to our minds because they do that one specific practice really well. Like that's what
Yeah.
stood out to us about each woman was that they did that individual thing well. I think they would easily say, "Well, I'm not great at these other things. This is where I lean
Yeah.
into. This is my, something that this is a discipline and something I feed off of that the Lord gives me." And I think that's another part of this that I really took away from it is that I'm not going to excel at all things. I have to tell my kids that all the time. But there are things that the Lord has gifted me and each of us
Hmm.
with that we're going to lean into and work harder on or at. And I think that was another thing that stood out is that I don't know that I could do all of these things exceptionally well, but I can attempt to do each of them because it is something that is going to benefit the Lord, and in doing so will benefit me.
Yes. This episode hasn't come out yet, but one of our guests, and I don't even know if if we recorded it, but she said, "I am just amazed at the people that you guys surround yourself with. You are surrounded by a good group of women." And I just thought, you're right. I'm not good at all those things, but what community the Lord has given me in these people who are so good at prayer or so good at rest and worship and all of the things that we talked about. And so that's a really good takeaway probably for me today. It's like I can't do it exceptionally well, but I can do something and every bit counts. Every bit grows my relationship with the Lord.
Well, and each conversation for me took me back to Hebrews. It took me back to the whole point of doing this and how we're called to stir one another to love and good works. And I think that's really what all of this did is that as we spoke to each friend and each topic really s- stirred me up what they had to say about it, and
Hmm.
it encouraged me to want to do better at each of those things. And I'm not going to be perfect, obviously, at all of them, but I think it was the stirring up that I appreciated it so much to be stirred up to do each of these things.
Yes, I agree. So, kind of taking that into my next question, I have two questions. The first one is, what's something new? Is there anything new that you've started doing or thinking about more or focusing on more because of these conversations?
I, d- I took a little bit from everybody, but what I've been more intentional about is being in the Word every single day and trying to pray every single day. There's a lot of them that I think I took so
I
much from each
know.
of them that I'm like trying to do a little every day.
I know.
But being in the Word and being in prayer are two things that I think need to be foundational for me and maybe every Christian. I think it has to start there. I think we have to know the Word and be in the Word and create stronger prayer lives in order to serve the community, to serve others well, to rest and understand what that really means, and to model these things after Jesus and off of his disciples. And I think that's where I really honed in is knowing and learning that being in the word and prayer are foundational for me. But also I really took away from, I already said it, but to just do it, showing up and sending out that text or checking on someone when it just pops into your head. Like there's a reason for it. And I really, really took that to heart. If somebody comes to mind, if there's somebody that I know is hurting or needing help, to step out in faith and show up. I think those are the biggest things that have have really, really impacted me to change over the last few weeks.
Those are both, I like that you use the word foundational because I do think, and it was the studying the word episode with Mary where she said she kept reading all these books about what it looked like to be a better mom or a better
Hmm.
parent or a better wife, all these like self-help Christian books, and she said it annoyed her because it just all boiled down to reading the word and being in prayer. And so I agree. I think those are really foundational to all the others. And they, like, it's hard to have a heart of worship if I don't know God. And I can't, it's hard to know Him if I'm not in the Word and if I'm not having regular, ongoing conversation with Him. You said rest, like it's hard to rest if I don't know what I'm doing for the Lord and what I'm doing for me. And I can't know that unless I'm being prayerful and in the Word. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think those are really really important. I got a prayer app, the Echo app. It was free. And I've really enjoyed that. I've shared it with a couple of people. It will remind me every day. And man, Melissa, her talking about being so specific with your prayer has really stuck to me. And so I've used that app to put really specific prayer requests or ask people, how do you really, how can I specifically pray for this? Like, oh, I know you want your house to sell, but what do you want specifically? And let me pray for that.
Hmm.
So that's one thing I did. The new thing I started was the gratitude journal. And I think this came from Mary, the 5 year thing. So I went on Amazon and I bought myself a 5 year journal, and I've already fallen behind twice, so it's not a perfect practice, but I do like it, and I'm excited. I really loved how she talked about the impact it made on her faith.
Hmm.
And like, I struggle with remembering things, and so to look back and see how he's been faithful. So, okay, what is something that you were already doing maybe really well that you have a new perspective on? I didn't ask you this. If you don't want to answer, that's okay.
Um, I don't know that I was doing any of this really well. I really don't know that I was doing any of this really well. I think this is going to sound silly, but because of this podcast, I have learned how important it is to talk about my faith. And in talk, not just talking about it or throwing it out there, it's just having regular conversations, asking people, what are
Mm-hmm.
you studying? What are you talking to the Lord about? How can I specifically pray for you? I think this podcast and having these conversations with each of these women and saying, hey, women, and we're putting them on the spot, like, here are 3 questions that you, you're talking to strangers practically over the
Mm-hmm.
internet, over the social media, whatever it is, and asking them those questions and them just really sharing their heart. I think that to me, one, it's happened because of the podcast. I've noticed it more, how important it is that we talk about the Lord. Like, stop talking about the weather and all the things that everyone else in this world can talk about. I know Jesus, and that should be my rock. That should be where I start all conversations. Should be how I finish conversations. And I think having these talks with each of these ladies really reminded me how important that is it was something I wasn't necessarily doing well, but it is something this podcast and especially these last few episodes, 7 to 8 of them, have has really, really reminded me of its importance.
Same. I wasn't even going to tell this story right now. I was going to save it for a later podcast, but I had an opportunity to sit in kind of an uncomfortable seat this week, and this is going to sound ridiculous when I say it out loud, but I don't think any of the ladies that were there listened to the podcast, and if they do, okay. We in our Bible study this week, we asked those 3 questions, and we ran around the whole room. And you might be like, wow, Catherine, you do this all the time. And like, sure, with one person, I sit and like ask them usually I ask, I don't have to answer. But we went around the whole room and I think it all goes back to the purpose of this podcast. It's like we're trying to stir one another up to good works, right? And to good deeds and to love others well. And that, like listening to those women that I could not have answered those questions for, I don't know them well enough. Listening to that made me think, like, oh, actually, you're struggling with the very same thing I'm struggling with.
Mhm.
Or maybe someone would say something, you know, they like make a comment about how they're feasting, and in my head I'm like, oh, I just want to encourage you, you're doing it, like keep doing it. It doesn't matter if you don't have time or you're not doing it right, just keep going. And so I think when you have the conversation like you're talking about, you get to know each other better, and I left that room knowing how to pray for people better. And I don't know. I could not agree more. Just the importance of having the conversation in the first place. And you can use those questions if you want, but really just talking about the Lord and how important it is when we typically waste our time talking about other things.
Mhm. I agree.
I also this week started a new, I know for sure none of them listen, I started a new class at school I teach. And I got a new group of students, and I told them one of my goals for this session is that I want them to hold me accountable to talk about the Lord, because I'm in a space where I can. It's a faith space. And sometimes I'm so conditioned to just like get in there and get the work done and leave, that I leave that out, and it's a perfect opportunity for me to practice. And so I told this group of adults, like, hey, hold me accountable that we should be having conversations about the Lord and how that impacts this work that you're doing here, because it all goes together, it all strings together. Oh, that was good. We could have 7 more episodes on those topics. um Okay, let's see. Tell me something that was really impactful to you. Like, was there a concept or a comment or something that really you can't stop thinking about?
There's a few of them, but I will start with the one from Melissa that says she said that if I haven't prayed specifically on something, then I'm careful
Mm-hmm.
to give advice. Like I'm careful before I give advice, not to take it to prayer first. I just loved that. I think we live in a world where opinions are everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just a part of who we are, is giving our opinion, especially now in social media. Like comment warriors down there just
I
giving
know.
an opinion on stuff that is not necessary. I think that to me really stood out. That if I haven't prayed on this, if the Lord hasn't given me direction, then I need to keep my mouth shut and start praying. And in the moment, if it feels like I have something to say, to make sure that it's from the Lord, or if there's
Mm-hmm.
something, in that situation where they're asking for advice, sometimes, and Melissa did this well. She's modeled this for me. She stops and prays on it right then and there. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that to me, to not be scared to use the tools that the Lord has given me instead of putting me before Him. It should always be him over me. Like his opinion, his word, his solutions to things are always going to be the best opinion to give, not my own.
Yeah.
And that stood out so heavily to me.
Yes, I think that's going to be a reel that's not out yet, but that's clipped to come out. It was so good, and it's just such good wisdom. And I even love that she said, that doesn't mean that you don't answer them. Like you can pray for them right then. You can share a similar experience maybe and how the Lord walked you through that, but to just say this is what I would do without any prayer or anything, like just not wise. I
Right.
think that really stood out to me too. Um, I'm trying to go back through my notes now and see um, what else I had.
I liked also that multiple people, multiple guests talked about that the goal is worship. The goal of all of
Yeah.
these things is worshiping our Creator, the Lord God. Like many of them said that. Like the goal of this practice or this discipline is to worship the Lord and sing more of God in all of these things. That's the ultimate goal for us in doing these. And that was really strong because I think we think, oh, a prayer, my goal should be to get, to get an answer out of this, or serving others is going to make me feel good. But really, it's to worship the
Yeah.
Lord. And I love that each of them saw that in their gifting of doing this certain thing well.
Yes, I loved that. And the point, like, don't be fooled. If you're not worshiping the creator intentionally, you're worshiping something else. Like that was
Mhm.
really profound to me too. We are worshipers in
Yep.
our by nature. And so if it's not God, then what is it? And how do
Right.
you figure that out? Man, I thought that really stuck with me too. This is not another question I didn't prepare you for, but I've been thinking about this. Um, have you, as a mom, seen these things in your kids? Like, have you started to see them differently because we're talking about all these people that do these things exceptionally well? Can
Hmm.
you look at your children and say, like, oh, you are encouraging me to be more prayerful, or you are encouraging me to study more? What do you think?
I think motherhood is another gift from the Lord that is used to grow me into worshiping Him. And
Yeah,
each child, though raised, in the same home with the same
right.
techniques, each of them has their calling and gifting, and I don't know what each of that, I have ideas of what I think is going to happen in each of their lives, but I can see how the Lord is working in each of them. But I think He uses them to train me.
Mm-hmm.
He uses them to grow my faith and to strengthen my prayer life more than
For
anything
sure.
as they get older. I mean, it is
Yeah,
hard as they get older because my experiences only go so far. And as much as I love them, I don't have all the answers. I don't know how to handle each of the things that they're going through. This is my first time parenting
yeah,
teenagers, and I am making mistakes left and right. And so I think what I'm learning through them is how to cling closer to the Lord and to really draw near to Him because I need His help to raise them, to give the right answers, to be prayerful in each of these situations instead of just blurting out my feelings or my opinions. It's really, yeah, I see these things will help me in raising my kids, but each child teaches me different things, and it
hmm,
shows me how important these disciplines are because I can tell when I'm not in the word that I don't have a good answer to things. I can
yeah,
tell when I'm not being prayerful that, everything's off. And they need it modeled to them. And I don't know
I
who I'm
know.
expecting to do that for them.
I know.
It's me. It's me and their dad. And yes, their church, people that they're in church
Yeah,
with, but they don't see those people on a daily basis. They see them 52 times out of they see them on Sundays and some Wednesdays. And I think they really need to see it here at home modeled. And that is a convicting, very convicting feeling, but
hmm,
also it's an honor that the Lord would have entrusted us with these children to train and grow to hopefully love the Lord and serve Him all their days.
yes, I agree. I think he's given them to us to grow us. And there are things that I can learn from them. And it is humbling and convicting. Like this morning, Millie, my youngest, was having a meltdown about what she was going to wear to school today. And I'm like, we haven't been to school in the last 3 weeks, so I don't know why your clothes are not where they're supposed to be. We haven't worn them. And so after all that arguing, 20 minutes pass, and I go and I find a shirt that she's looking for, and I bring it to her, and she comes in the kitchen and she says, Mom, I prayed about that shirt, and then you found it. And I was like, tickled that she said it. Neither one of my children are saved, so they're just practicing these things. But then I was immediately convicted because I was like, I'm trying to be more prayerful. And I don't even think of those kinds of things to pray about. But my 6-year-old is reminding me that I'm not doing a great job. So I don't know. I've been thinking about how he's using them to grow me and to help me learn some of these things that I am struggling to learn. So I was just curious how that
Well,
happens at your house.
and I think that's a thing. I don't know if I just lose all the things at my house. They just come here to be lost, or I just am really good at putting things where I can't remember where I put them in a special place, so that I will remember it later.
Yeah.
But my kids are like that too. There's a lot of us in this house. That means each of us have a lot of things. And I think even these conversations reminded me, like, there's no prayer that's too small or too hard
Yeah.
or too big for the Lord. And there have been so many times in my life parenting little kids where we have lost something, I have lost something, and we're all frantic trying to find the thing, or maybe it's just me frantic trying to find the item. And it
Mhm.
drives me crazy. We still have an item that's been lost for months now, and we've never found it, any of us. And like even friends have asked, "Do you know where those things are that it was a big
Yeah.
deal because we couldn't find those buttons, they're buttons." But there have been so many times in my life where we're frantic
Yeah.
and we just stop and pray, like, or just call out his name. Lord, I need help finding this thing. If I need to find it right now, can you please show it to us? And I think he just shows up every
Mhm.
time. And I don't know why it's so hard for me to keep that in my heart and mind,
In my
and
Yeah.
knowing that he wants to help us. He
Yeah.
loves us. He's our creator and he wants good things for us. And I forget so often that I just have to take it all to him, all of it to him. Even these little things that feel like so not a big deal, if they
Mhm.
matter to us, they matter to him. If it is something that is really bothering us or keeping us up at night, it matters to the Lord. And maybe it's not that specific thing, but he wants peace for us. Like that is
Yeah.
he wants us to be at a place of peace and rest and love. And I so often forget that. I think I learned that through my kids as well, but really through these conversations, it brought those things to my mind that you know the answers, you know how to find them, you know where they are, and all it takes is a little bit of effort.
Mhm. I agree. I think that's a great way to sum up all the conversations that we've been having and like all these things that you could do to grow closer to the Lord. It's because He loves you and He wants good
Hmm.
things for you. And I do want to say one more time, and I wonder if our listeners are sick of this. I guess you could tell us if you're sick of us saying this, but I'm so grateful for everybody who got in the seat on the other side of this camera and had these conversations with us and talked about how they're making it through their everyday life and what it looks like to do these things well because whew, it's hard. It's hard to do. And so I'm really grateful for their yes and for all of the other people coming in this new year. I'm just excited for those conversations too.
Yes, me too.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for coming to the table. We hope today's conversation encouraged you as you seek Jesus in the big moments and the little ones. Check out the show notes for any scripture, resources, whatever we talked about today. Feel free to share this episode, leave a comment, ask a question, or share your thoughts with us. Come back and join us again next week. We'll be right here. If you haven't already, go follow or subscribe wherever you listen and find us on socials to catch up if you don't have time to listen throughout the week, or just to find out what all the next episodes are about. Also, we know you have things to say, examples to share, wisdom to give. So look for opportunities this week to share with those around you or even with us. All right, we'll see you next time.